see what we got. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Fine, I think that would work. There we go. Hey guys, I don't know how many people are out there. I was going to go live at like 10, but Justin kept going, kept talking and stuff like that. So I didn't want to go because I was still listening. I think by the time this live was supposed to start last night, it was, I think Tony had just gotten on. Hey, Dark Princess, nice to see you. I don't know how many people are going to get notification. I forgot about a short, and I just activated a short, I don't know, about a half hour before this. Hey, Outer Banks, do you guys sleep? Hey, Eeyore Blue, enjoying life. It's nice to see you. Deanna. Hey, Libby, Texas, Calgary. Wow, we do have a lot of people. You guys are crazy. I actually fell asleep. That's why I just went ahead and killed my live. I just deleted it and figured if I wake up, I wake up. Otherwise, we were going to do it tomorrow morning at 10. But, I've got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. I got some court paperwork I got to try to, get together. And then I've got other stuff that I've got to do. So we'll be live throughout the day tomorrow, but my day's already starting because I just woke up. So yay me. What else do we have? Leah, it's nice to see you. Robin, you're up late too. Now I'm actually waking up just for a little bit. I'll probably go back to sleep before morning. Happy Gal Brenda, Mally Cat. Love my fur babies. I love mine too. Mine's sitting right next to me. She's a bed hog. Good gracious. I roll and she's like right at my back. Then I have to roll and push her out of the way to roll back over. I had my hair up cute too. I did a little video before. I had my hair up all cute. It was all up all cute. Can I do it again? I wonder if I can do it without a comb. Who knows? There we go. I saw Clarissa. There's Clarissa. I see her. Monica, it's nice to see you. Karma. Well, everybody keeps saying I'm up late. I'm not up late. I actually fell asleep. I fell asleep last night about, 9:30. 10:30, 10:45, something like that. Cece, it's nice to see you. Smoking Joe. MC, yeah, B Betty fan is up late too. See, it's up late for you guys because you guys haven't got to sleep. I've already slept. I'm up awaiting my first grandson. Ooh, bluegrass. Well, congratulations. Congratulations, Rebecca. Mama Rissa's up now. So that reminds me, I've got to show you guys some updated photos. I don't know if you guys remember last week I was asking, maybe it was, gosh, it might have even been in the end of the week before. I asked Hindsight or Mama Marissa to prepare because Sebastian's 16 and he very well may have some facial hair on his face, and Mama Marissa did some composites where Sebastian has various different styles of facial hair, and I think that'll help just a little bit. And we'll have to present those tomorrow morning. And don't forget. If I forget to, remind me before I hang up, before I get up, sign off in the morning, and I'll pull those up. Hey. Oh, Karma gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Thank you, Karma. I'm not quite on StreamYard, so I can't push it up on the screen, but thank you so much. If whoever received that, welcome to this great, oh, look at that. I can see on this side, Outer Banks got it. You're official, Outer Banks. Alyssa, it's nice to see you. Rhonda, good morning. Ruby, it's nice to see you. Batgirl, hey. I hope you're doing well. Hindsight's in here. It's nice to see you, love. Lisa. And good morning. Hope floats. It's nice to see you. So I'm not going to really get into the drama that's I kind of am getting into the drama a little bit, but I'm not trying to get involved. I should say I'm not trying to get involved in the drama. Obviously there's something going on. I don't know what it is. I did not know anything was going on until everybody started saying something's going on, and I'm like, no, 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 this can't be. And then of course I'm seeing some stuff, and I'm like, well, oh. Excuse me. I think I might need to change the AC filter. I turned on, I start sneezing. Excuse me, guys. Phoenix, it's nice to see you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. At you, at you, at you. Thank you. I need all the blessings in the world. We're beginning a new week. We're beginning a new week. Oh, good gracious. So I'm like not trying to get involved, and I can tell you that I'm kind of I don't know, I guess a little disappointed in some of the people's behaviors, I guess, is really the only thing I can say. You know, well, I've been it I guess it's hard when it's coming from left field. Again, I don't want to call anybody out because I don't want to shine a light on them or throw them under the bus, especially when we're all I think our goals are should be about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. But I also heard some of the commentary that was sent to me, and it's like, you know, everything, none of this is really about Sebastian. I mean, really, it's about somebody's feelings or people's feelings, and you guys know how I feel about that. I don't have time for feelings, you know. If we're up and we have an opportunity to argue with one another, that's better than our victims that we cover. We don't know whether they are able to argue with somebody or not, you know. And, you know, we don't know if they're pissed off at something. Like, we don't know, because we don't know if they have the opportunity to be angry or upset or anything like that. And I just feel like at times it's selfish when we put ourselves above that. You know, I think it's just very selfish when we put ourselves above that or allow our need to be heard. You know, and of course I'm one of those people that would love everybody to, you know, stand up and speak up and try to empower them to do that. But I also teach people, you know, there's a time and place for things, and, you know, when's the time, when's the place. And I just felt like this is probably not the best time, probably not the best place to, you know, be talking about these things now. And you guys know that when it comes to like Tony and Seth and people like that, I'm already overly protective of them as is, because of everything that they've gone through that they don't deserve to go through. You know? Betty, this is going to be a good week. It is going to be a good week. It is going to be a good week. And I just hope everybody, you know, gets along. It's only 10 p.m. here. It's not here. Well, we can tell what time zone you're in, because it's 3:07. It's 1:07 right now. I'm in Florida. So I've already slept a couple hours, and I woke up and I could just tell it was just one of those nights where I didn't go immediately back to sleep, and I'm just like sitting here tossing and turning. And then I turned on. I haven't watched this in a really long time. Have you guys listen? Here it is. Hold on. Elementary. I haven't watched this since I don't know how long it's been on there, but I feel like it's been like a really long time when it started. So, or a long time ago. I think it's off the air now, but I'm watching it from season 1. It's what puts me to sleep at night. Not that this puts me to sleep. It doesn't really matter what's on TV. Something needs to be on the TV to put me to sleep at night. Too invested, needs to take a break. Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, we all get, and that's just for specific content creators, but I don't want to talk in specificity. I want to talk in generality. So I know being a content creator can be very demanding, especially when you first come out. You're competing against people that have been here. I don't know how long she's been online or anything, but when we first come out, you know, there's a lot of attention, especially if we're digging in and new and all this other stuff. And then Then comes the pressures of the hate channels and people not liking you and being mean to you and stuff like that. And it's really at that point, I think, that for each individual creator, you needs to decide whether they're going to engage in that nastiness and back and forth or not engage in it and move forward. For me, when I first came out, it was hard not to engage, right? But the more and more I realized that that engagement was more content, you have to learn, is it worth being right, um in a public sense, and or is it better to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And I think for each individual content creator, that decision comes at some point on these platforms. And sometimes it's just hard, to keep fighting the nastiness on here, and it's easier just to join up and engage in it. Now, I'm not saying that any particular person is doing that, but obviously something triggered all of this, and it's usually one of two things or one of a few things. But most of the time, it comes down to one specific thing and one specific thing only, and that is the lack of feeling appreciated of your work. And coming from me, that has been literally put through a meat grinder for years, um, I was probably the most bullied person in the history of YouTube, and I'm saying that literally and figuratively. Um, I don't allow the emotion of all of it to get to me. At one time I did. Every now and again, you got to remember, the reason why my mods are so has such a trigger finger is because there was a time they didn't want me to read anything because it would be a cuss fest on here, an mf'er here, an fu there, ish here, and a GD here, and it was, it got a little spicy up in Bullhorn Betty's chat. But they were triggering those responses, and then they were taking those triggered responses and using it for content for them to make a buck. Well, we stopped, giving them all of that, and they now just make up stuff. So you can succumb to the pressures, or you can fix your crown, fix your attitude, and try again. Sometimes it just, people are good on this app when things are going good, but when things start going bad, they freak out, and I don't know if any of that has anything to do with this current situation or not. I can only tell you from my experience what I've seen happen on this platform with a lot of different people. I've watched people be destroyed, absolutely destroyed, have their freaking channels removed by this garbage from the same people. You guys all know them. And then, them wait a year, get back online, and go right to those channels because nobody else is paying attention. It's all about attention and money. And they literally are now friends with the people that destroyed their channel. I don't know if I'll ever be that desperate. If somebody ever hurt me or crossed me in that way, it's kind of a forever thing for me. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a forever thing for me. It's not that I hold a grudge, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I would still, I don't know. It's kind of a forever thing for me. Like, once you do dirty, like, once we know you can do dirty like that, yeah, it's kind of a forever thing. I know it's within you. It's like one of those things where you got to sleep with your eye wide open, one of your eyes open. Our sweet Pearl said, nothing sad part is he hates drama. Yeah, and not only that, but look at what this mess has taken away from Sebastian. Like that live last night could have been devoted to Sebastian Rogers, could have been devoted to talking about a subject that mattered to a lot of people. Instead, we watched a show basically have to be thrown away from Sebastian Rogers for people to address the situation going on. And, in the grand scheme of things, we have been talking about this child for over a year. Um, but we still want everything to really circulate around him. We don't want it to be where he is the second thought or the third thought or the fourth thought, where some strangers opinion and emotional status supersedes a missing victim that's a minor child with medical disabilities. And I felt like there's been a couple times, like Lore Lodge. Lore Lodge is another example of an opportunity in front of thousands of people on one of the bigger platforms on this app, and the entire opportunity to speak about Sebastian was gobbled up by addressing all of the nonsense and petty squabbles. The petty squabbles. The disinformation and misinformation. And then I think what the shocking part of it is about like just a few hours ago is I didn't realize that none of these people really personally had spoken with the person that was, kind of definitely not doing Sebastian, a service. It was a disservice to him. But I had thought that maybe there was a personal situation. This is what I had originally thought whenever people were calling me about the current situation, is I thought that maybe this particular content creator had reached out to Tony, and because she is passionate about one specific area, and that's the child abuse area, and trying to get people on the child abuse side. And I know when I spoke to her, she was talking about some, corrupt practices she thought was going on. And like I told her at that time is, I really can't, not on, when it comes to that, because Seth is working really hard to maintain his relationship with law enforcement. And we want to help, facilitate that. We don't want anything deterring from that relationship. Now, do I think that some of these actions could deter them? When it comes to somebody that they're working directly with, or somebody that law enforcement does know that they're working directly with, is saying horrible things, then yeah, I guess it could negatively affect that. I don't think that this particular content creator was personally would have affected the communication with law enforcement. But when it sounds like during this petition signing thing, it was known at that point that the wishes of the family was not to rock the boat with law enforcement. And this is all I'm gathering from last night. I may have some things wrong. This is just my understanding of what we learned on Clutch Them Pearls. And it sounds like at that point, that was the only time, but she was well aware at that point that it wasn't the will of the father or his team to pursue that with law enforcement, especially in light of wanting to have open communication, because this is his son. He wants to have he wants law enforcement to trust him to tell him certain things related to movement in his son's case. And when they think that there's leaks or that he's sharing information or anything like that, that could absolutely, without a doubt, jeopardize his ability to communicate and speak with law enforcement. Law enforcement cannot tell him anything. You were learning from Steve Gonzalez, Layla's mom, Jen. She can tell you when it's a criminal investigation, law enforcement doesn't communicate with you. There's not really any ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just don't. They have to maintain the integrity of the investigation. And if you ever just have an open line of communication with law enforcement, you'll learn that even when you have a good open line of communication, it's still pulling teeth to get, just minor details that doesn't really affect the integrity of the investigation, to be had by law enforcement. It's really a tug and pull. The sad part is that Seth shouldn't have to work hard for a relationship with Ali. Well, in fairness, it took a while, because I think that when they started opening up with Seth is basically when he was cleared in their mind. And as much as we would like to say that, it shouldn't be hard, from law enforcement's perspective, who's the suspects or persons of interest, so I think that they have to have the suspect and persons of interest identified, and the ones that are cleared, they're never going to want to share or speak to or show their hand to somebody that could be responsible for something. What is law enforcement building a case on? Do they think that this is a child that ran away, or that there was some type of custodial interference, or do they think something far worse may have happened? Those are things. And not only that, but with parents of an only child, it's counterproductive, in my opinion. Not that it means a whole lot to law enforcement, but in my opinion, when you leave a parent, an innocent parent, dangling too long, it can have opposite effects of what law enforcement want it to have. And at that point, you would think that they would want to let them in a little bit before, the pop comes off. I've been following Sebastian's case for almost a year now. I've watched and followed it all. I'm shocked nothing has came about yet. I'm not. Some of these cases, I mean, look at Summer Walls, takes years and years and years. And you guys have watched me feel and speak as if Tennessee is kind of behind the times in a lot of respects, and I still stand on that. I think that there's a lot of work that can go, that needs to be had in Tennessee. I mean, I applaud them on their literal approach to the law. It's always commended, and they really do try to uphold the Constitution and stuff, privacy. There's a lot of laws that they don't have in place because of their belief to freedom, right? And privacy. So it's always been a struggle in a lot of states to balance law enforcement with, privacy rights and other things. In this day and age, internet is crucial in crime fighting, and it's not available for everybody in Tennessee, much like North Carolina. There are several states, and I know once we get out in the Midwest and stuff like that, you have another host of problems. But I just feel like Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, there's enough. I mean, they're good states that have decent money coming in tax wise, and they should have internet everywhere. Like, there's so many different things, like putting boxes in the large trees that they have, just really expanding that signal without having to put a whole lot of extra infrastructure in it. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I think they need to utilize different stuff. I understand that, but Seth is one of them. He had to go through background checks and stuff. Yeah, I agree with that, But they've also got to balance that this is his only son, and they've watched um, they've watched this all unfold, and after a year, they've got to be careful for themselves, because you you just never, it's not Seth, I'm not speaking as Seth, but law enforcement in general, one of the reasons why they don't really give a whole lot of information is because you you don't know what the other parent or the other person or somebody that's dealing with this horrific matter, and you never know what they're going to do if they know too much. And I think that could potentially play in this. Hey Michelle, it's nice to see you. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Becky, good evening. It's 1:21 in Idaho. Well, I'm in Florida. It's like 1:30. My purse serve severe. Is that it? My purse Miss Persevere. Oh, I like that, Miss Persevere. I like that. That's neat. Took me a little bit. It's like Amula King. What is that called? That's that game. A joking. Oh, joking. Yeah. Ellie can ask from NSA video footage from their satellite. Yeah, I agree with that. And I know satellite imagery is being used a lot. I'd like to have seen what was on. I heard somebody ordered it for Summer Wells, and I never saw it. But we saw some imagery that they were allowed to get contact or had access to, and it was the Friday before all this happened. I think the latest was like 10:30 in the morning or something like that, and we could see a black truck, but we didn't know whose black truck that was. It could be, we don't know what Terry drives. We don't know if they had like a lawn guy over and that was the lawn. I mean, we just don't know. But from the images, it didn't look right. It could have been Chris's for all we know. Hey YouTuber, it's nice to see you. Gypsy's up. The real me too. It's nice to see you. Oh. Yeah, I'm also having a little bit about a heartburn. That's why I knew I wasn't going to go back to sleep. When it was time for me to go back to sleep, like I woke up and I rolled over and had to push Delilah, excuse me, out of the way because she likes to hog the bed. Come here, just say hi to everybody. Just say hi. Just say hi. I saw your eyes open. It's not like you were sleeping. There she is. There's that baby girl. There she is. Nice and warm. You want to go back to the warm bed? You want to go back to your warm bed? Oh, you my little baby angel. She's my little baby angel. She's going to get under the covers and go back to bed. I wish I could do that. She's going far, far down. I can tell when I toss and turn a lot at night too. I'll wake up and she's like at the foot of the bed on top of all the pillows, like looking at me like you kicked me out of the bed. I can always tell when I toss and turn. Lucky I don't get in trouble for being late for work every day. Oh, good gracious. She's calmed down so much. Yeah, she's a sleepy baby. She's a sleepy baby. Well, she's always been fairly calm. I mean, I'm actually surprised because I heard that they were yappy dogs, which she's starting to get a voice. I won't lie. She's starting to get her bark. She's starting to know her bark. I'm starting to have to be really cautious because when she goes over to Laura's house and her dogs like to bark at literally everything. And it's like when I start hearing them bark, I'm like, don't you dare. No. My best friend's sitting there laughing at me because I'm trying to teach my dog not to bark while all these other dogs are around her going, roo, 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 roo. Emily says, over 300 people here to watch it 300 people to be here at like 1:30 in the morning. I don't do shows this time of night. I was just meaning to talk about what was going on tonight. I was want to do it at 11, but by the time they were wrapping up, and I don't even think they were wrapping up. I still think I don't know what time he finally ended, but about 10:30, I was here yawning so bad that my eyes wouldn't quit watering, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going live, so I just deleted it. My fur baby's just decided she was hungry at 1:30, and now she's eating boiled chicken and rice. There you go. Oh shoot, she'll eat. Uh, the real Me Too turned me on to these. They're not cheap either for being turkey tendons. And I gotta buy more because I only got 4 left. But these little suckers here, she loves these. These are her absolute favorite out of every treat she's ever had. So I got to keep these in stock because these are actually soft turkey tendons with pumpkin. They make the soft turkey tendons, but not with pumpkin. She loves, and I mean loves the ones with pumpkin. There they are. But she absolutely loves these. I bet she should probably eat one right now. Would you eat one right now? Let's see. Would you eat a turkey tendon now? Yeah, she took it under the bed. She's officially eating it. I'm telling you. I don't care if you give her one of these things. Like she does not eat if she's not hungry. Is she eating it? And she's eating it. She is eating it. She will eat one of those. It doesn't matter how full she is. It doesn't matter. That is the one treat she absolutely will eat every last bit of. She will not even leave a crumb. My puppy will eat anytime, anywhere. Exactly. Well, not her. Like if we're driving, it's tough to even get her to drink water. So I finally figured out how to keep the water there so when she gets thirsty, she can drink it herself. But when we're on the road, she won't eat anything. I bet you while we were on the road, if I gave her one of these all the way to wherever we got to go, I bet you she'd eat them. Yes. And I got to buy some more because I forgot. Like I gave her that pack. I've slowed her down on these because I realized how expensive these things are. And she absolutely loves them. So I will keep them in stock. But I feed her one like every 2 or 3 days now. Not like the first day she literally ate a whole package of these. These packages are like $16 for 3 ounces. But they are literally the best for her. She loves them. So I didn't really, like I said, I don't want to bash anybody because I don't want to be involved in it at all. And I'm trying to understand everybody's side in all of this, but I don't know. I think I think it was a very, the way it was handled, I think was inappropriate, but moreover, the way it was handled, it's just going to cause her so much more problems in the long run because it's like when you do something like this really public, just in my experience, not that it's going to happen this way or anything like that. It's just in my experience, and you guys, we've all watched it. When you start seeing any creator do a flip-flop or start frequenting the hate channels, the true crime community is pretty much done with them, and then basically the hate channels will use them up until they're no longer benefit to them, and then they toss them away too. And I just hate seeing that happen, but we've seen it over and over again with multiple creators where as soon as they start flip-flopping or they show people that they have the ability to flip-flop over emotional stuff, they start losing the attention of their audience. And with her being so new, I don't know if that is really the best strategy. I think this should hopefully is a learning lesson, and maybe there's different ways to handle stuff. I can't imagine that this is less stressful than it was, and if it is less stressful than it was, I would be very concerned. Why is she getting less stress by going on to the hate channels and stuff like that? There's nothing good that can ever come to circulating on the channels that she was circulating on except to try to hurt people. And I'm just not okay with that, you know? I'm just not okay with that, because those people have done such great harm to so many people. It's just a sad situation. Do you think Sebastian was taken or unalive? Well, Anthony, many people that have watched me know my opinion on the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case, and it's the same opinion that I've had since about 2 weeks into this, until about around the March 18th, 19th time frame. From the point when I started realizing how much the parents, the mom and her husband, had important parts, inconsistent statements. It's hard for me to say this, kind of Seth watches, but I've already told him this. I've never. I don't believe he's with us because of my past experience and statistics. And the behaviors, and the fact that his mom and her husband spent more time trying to throw me in jail than they ever did for finding Sebastian. I think that the writing, in my opinion, is on the wall for that. But I do care about Seth, and I care about his story, and his mission is to bring his son home, and to bring his son home safely. And therefore, I also partner with him on that mission. Despite my personal beliefs or my theories, I am here as support for Seth Rogers. But that's just my personal opinion based on a lot of factors, including my clear understanding of what most likely happened that night. He just had a stroke on the left side of the brain and has cancer and dialysis 3 times a week. Who are you talking about, Michelle? Did I miss something? Oh, I agree with it. I agree with you, Truth and Time. I think everybody knows she does it, and I don't think it's just. I think the reason why at this point it's probably done more damage than good is because this is Seth's son, and you're right. You know, but if anybody has any information, you never want to discourage them from reaching out to law enforcement with legitimate leads and tips. But she knew it wasn't the will of this father or his team to be nasty to law enforcement. I have a reason, my personal bias of why I should feel like I would be okay in being nasty with law enforcement, and I don't, because of my respect for Seth and the fact that I want him to have that open. And not only that, that was one of the channel's first goals. Is open communication with law enforcement for Seth. That was a channel goal for us that we were able to help accomplish. And anything to interfere with that is just not acceptable. And even that comes to, and I'm not saying anything that I haven't had to do myself. I've had to eat a lot of shit, excuse my language, that's just the way it is, a lot of shit, because of my own personal complaints in things that I feel with Sumner County on a personal level. And I have to put my BS aside for the sake of Seth and Sebastian. And as hard as that is for me to do, I do it. And I do it respectfully and gracefully every single day, because I know that that's the best thing for this case. And I know it's the best thing for Seth as well as Sebastian. Is it the best thing for me? Probably not. You know, there's a lot that I'd like to say on any given day. And if I can put myself to the side for the sake of this child, certainly somebody that hasn't walked in my shoes can certainly put their BS aside for the sake of this child. So that's where I come from. I'm not saying anything I haven't personally done or had to walk through personally. Um, so I'm speaking from a person of willing to do that for myself. I'm not saying do as I say, not as I do. I'm having to do the same thing, right? And if I can do it, certainly other people that have Sebastian's best interest at heart can do the same thing. And in all fairness, I do understand her point about trying to get some, child abuse charges and stuff like that on the mom and her husband. But at the end of the day, if charging them would tip them off to their strategy of prosecution for other matters, I could understand why they're withholding charging right now. Excuse me. Could they just have him somewhere because of the custody thing? Of course, it's a possibility, but the reason why I don't believe that is a possibility, Anthony, is because none of his medication has been refilled. And you would think if it was for a custody situation, they'd make sure he has his medication, they'd make sure he has some clothes, they'd make sure, but that's not the case. He's got no clothes with him, he's got no shoes with him, he's got no medication, money, he's got no food, he's literally got nothing. He didn't even leave the house with a jacket around his arms on a cold night. While he has sensory issues. He's scared of bugs, scared of loud noises. The idea that he walked out this door even after law enforcement and the EMA director says that there's no evidence that he walked out of the house. I mean, there's no evidence that he walked out of the house. There's no scent. There's nothing. And when you go back, and I missed it for a really long time, but that second interview, what we dubbed the green shirt interview, there's a statement in there saying that they don't have any proof or any videos to prove where Sebastian went, and that was a weird word to use that early on, to prove. For her to think she has to prove where her son is a mindset of itself, So what was her state of mind? I can tell you her state of mind. She felt she needed to prove where her son was, and so that means the only thing I think of when I hear that is an intense, conversation or interrogation. At this point in juncture of time, as many times that children's services was at their house. In lieu of what has taken place, in lieu of what has taken place, I don't understand why Seth hasn't filed papers against Katie. Well, certain laws are different from state to state, especially in a situation. This is a complicated case. It's not cut and dried. It's not easy. You can just go file papers and that's that. The child's missing, and it's very rare that custody takes place while that child's missing. So, going and is there a route forward to sever parental rights or get primary custody of Sebastian? There might be, and there also might be a reason why that hasn't taken place at this juncture. It might be because the attorneys don't think it's appropriate at the moment. There may be some hurdle that will make it more difficult, more expensive. We don't know what those are, and it's not like, Seth is made of money. It's not like he has money growing on trees. It's not a case like that. So it's hard for me to speak on his behalf. I could only give you theories or assumptions, based on experience or what could be taking place, but certainly, don't know what the reason, nor have I had the discussion with Seth about that. What would you believe the motives to unalive this child by? I think it's very simple. I think if you look at the history, Anthony, you'll see a family falling, you know, it was a family not built on a good foundation. And Chris is in my opinion a narcissist. So, you know, it's always when everything isn't going right, it's everybody else's fault. And I think that they were so far in their separation and in their own ways. Like, he's had multiple affairs. I can tell you that I know that there were at least two women in Alabama, and that was in 2021. So we have infidelity, which isn't a surprise. I mean, Katie shouldn't be surprised about that. She's wife number 5, and he's barely scratching 40 years old. That shows you who Chris is as a person. But why would the motive be? I think it was pressure. I think, and I've said this many times, I think Katie just snapped. I think something happened that day. You know, they had a very, very busy day. I mean, they were at BJ's, you know, with friends. He's autistic, so I didn't realize, you know, overstimulation or what that means. And it means that they're kind of amped up, and so they're going home after, you know, he looks pretty relaxed and stuff, but you can see that there were some things displayed, like when he was walking in and holding his ears, and it didn't seem like he was very happy leaving Strikes and Spares. I haven't seen the footage or stills of that, but I've heard that he didn't seem like his happy-go-lucky. If you notice a lot about him, he smiles a lot, right? And he didn't seem like his happy-go-lucky self. And one of the first things his father had said after seeing the footage from the Texas Roadhouse months ago from law enforcement was his son didn't appear to be that happy. And his son is so happy when they go out to dinner that he thought that of that as being very, very odd. So, you know, could he have had a meltdown? You know, now he's also hitting puberty, getting an adolescence, so he's a little bit stronger than he once was. I did recognize on a photo that was presented as his photo for his endangered child alert, was the one where he has optimism on it. You could see like almost a perfect thumbprint on his Adam apple, and it makes me wonder how he got that there. But I truly believe something happened inside that home, and I think his mom just snapped. And by the time, you know, things happen in a split second, and by the time, you know, things calm down, I think I believe in this oh shit factor, and that's what I call it, the oh shit factor. And what that basically means is that, you know, something happened, and oh shit, what did I do? You know, type of thing. And I think that's what prompted the 3-hour call. I honestly believe, this is just my theory. This is not fact or anything like that. There are certain things that fill in some of these that I can plug in and say are fact, but it seems to me in my theory that the 3-hour call was setting up, making sure there's a checklist. I mean, it sounds to me like Chris is a, you know, an operations planner or supervisor or something in his past military life. So I think it was, you know, etching out a plan to figure this out. I think by the time they got off the phone, it was around 11:45 to midnight, and that gave him the opportunity to drive back from Memphis. It would bring him right into town right about the time around 3:30. Everything can kind of take place, and then he's off back to work, getting back, you know, to home or in that area by about 6:15, being able to be on work and clocked in by 7 a.m. But I think the motive is his mom just snapped, and I think it was easy for her to snap because she's been with Chris for years. And if you listen to how Chris talks about her son, if you listen to how his family talks about his son, I think it was just constantly living with Chris and putting her son down. I truly believe that Katie started resenting her own child. Since they moved into the house that they're at on Stafford Court, within 1 month of moving in there, Chris was already reaching out to Seth to take his son full time. They no longer wanted anything to do with Sebastian. And when Seth couldn't take him immediately, they were trying to put him into a residential home. Once they realized how expensive those residential homes were, they were willing to wait for Seth to get everything set up so Sebastian could go stay with him full time. And right before he went to go stay with his father full time, he just so happens to disappear. And the date that Sebastian was called in missing was exactly 8 years to the day that Katie filed for divorce from Seth. So there are a lot of indicators of something here, and it doesn't make anything or anyone feel well about the situation at hand. Kelly, no, never heard of that before. Hey, Jess Debbie, it's nice to see you, love. Becky says, I love Julie. She is under stress with her son. It should be about Sebastian, not other creators, in my opinion. Yeah. But if that's the case, then people need to learn their limits and unplug before they do damage. Because I have to say that this is damage, and even later down the road, she's most likely going to feel the repercussions of this. It's not me saying that, I'm just speaking from experience. I've got no ill will toward anybody. I just want people to refocus back on Sebastian, but I think she's going to have long-term effects from this outburst, and I really, really wish for her sake she would have played the tape through. That's all I can say. BHB, but they went shopping. Are we sure he doesn't have any? Yeah. I'm confident that think about it. What is she the boy has 2 pairs of shoes. I mean, he's got a handful of shirts in his room. I mean, it's not like he had all these shoes and all these clothes. I mean, of course she's going to say it's based because, he's got tics and issues and stuff like that. Well, then why doesn't he have, a lot of different clothes with that imprint on it, so he have more to selection to choose from? I mean, it just it just didn't seem like she treated him well. She would get him stuff as he needed, but it seemed to me that it would be few and far between. He'd have to outgrow something, and it just seems like he had XYZ amount of shirts, XYZ amount of pants, XYZ amount of shorts, and XYZ amount of shoes, and that's all they allowed him to have. Honestly, that's the way I look at it. I don't know if that's true. That's just my opinion. It could be completely far off base, but no, I don't think that they bought him clothes. Because I don't think it was premeditated. Everybody has this, they believe it's premeditated, that they planned on all this. I don't. And there's 2 reasons why I don't, and I've maintained those 2 reasons since I've said there's 2 reasons that there isn't, which has been a really, really, really long time. And anybody that's followed me for a significant amount of time knows that the 2 reasons are the 3-hour phone call and the shoes. His shoes still being there. I believe the 3-hour call was the planning of what they needed to do now that this situation is upon them. And I think the shoes were an oversight, because I believe Sebastian had made it home because of the shoes for a long time, knowing that he was on a dash cam solidifying he made it home, was no shocker to me. It was a shock to other people, but it was no shock to me. So I had always believed he came home. I've been believing Sebastian has been hidden, but I have had a dream and a vision. I don't think he's with us, but I'm believing God to bring him home, in my opinion. Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. It's the reason why I didn't have those beliefs is because of the mom's behavior. She was cold. She was callous. Um, but who would subject themselves and their family through all of this if it wasn't a lot worse than we anticipated it to be? You know, that's just the common sense and problem solving that my brain produces. And I've said that multiple times in the past, like, who would be willing to subject themselves to this? You know, there's a lot more going on here, and I can tell you that based on my gut, that means that it's a lot worse than we could imagine. I feel like this is kind of Leilani Simon-esque, you know, just saying. In my opinion, this was planned. That's why it's taken so long to find Sebastian. Well planned. Yeah, I do think it was well planned, but I think that it was well planned within 3 hours. If this was a premeditated situation, they would have had no reason to be on the phone for 3 hours. That to me is the key to whether this was a premeditated act or this was a something that just happened. And that 3 hour, because if it was planned, they would have already. I can already see the psychology behind it. They don't want to be on the phone too much to raise suspicion. They'll be like, I'll call you, our keyword or text word will be this, or I'll just call you and just tell you good night and you'll know it's done. Wouldn't have required 3 hours. 3 hours to me, in my opinion, is when they were setting in plan what to do now after this situation. Again, just my theory. There's no right or wrong answers with this because we don't know what happened. But don't come in here and saying that there's nothing to see over in that camp, because that's where my blood starts boiling, because anybody that can't see that they were the last people, there was only one person. We always look for motive, means, and opportunity. And who was the last person to be known with the victim, and were any of the people, them or any of the people that they came in contact with, have any injuries? And the answer is Katie was with Sebastian last. Nobody saw him after Katie saw him. And Chris had clear, visible markings. Those markings I have always believed were woods, because I, of all people on social media, have gone out searching for people, and I have gone out in the swamps searching for people. I've been out in the backwoods of Tennessee with Georgia with rattlesnakes. I've been in Tennessee searching in the mountains, searching in the woods for Summer Wells and Layla Santinello. And the one thing that that I've learned is, I forgot where I was going with that conversation. I don't know. I think I'm getting tired again. It was to answer somebody's question, but I forget what question I was answering, and I got kind of off base because my brain just shut down on me. Which happens when I'm up this late, but there was a point I was trying to make. In the backwoods, it'll come to me. It usually always does. BHB, please take a look at Penny Bordeaux, Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. They got her confession with a big sting. Yeah, what were we talking about when I went in that? I can't remember. It'll come back to me. I don't know why my brain does that. It'll just drop. Like, it'll just go blank. I'll be talking about something midstream and my brain will just lose track. 3 hours would have been toward 1 a.m., making it impossible for anyone to be. Yeah, well, the call came in at 9:43, and it was over by around midnight. So it wasn't quite 3 hours. We know that. It was more like 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2 hours, like a 2.5 hours. And either way, we dub it the 3-hour call because originally everybody thought it was a 3-hour call, but it really technically is not. But, I just truly believe that Sebastian something happened. They did plan very, very. Oh yeah, I know what I was getting back with the long-winded story. The scratches on his arm. People that thought those are bite marks. I've seen those marks before. I've seen them from me, and they're from briars and stuff like that. And I truly believe because there was something that coworker that I don't believe was his supervisor, the one that was that Justin for All played, and he got just about everything wrong. And I said he sounds like somebody that was sitting next to him on the bar stool, listening to a story about what was going on in his life. And he said something. He said, Chris would never even have time to run all the way to Hendersonville, unalive Sebastian and bury the MFer. And I have always thought that those scratches looked like somebody that was go in the woods, and there were some rub patterns that were deeper than others that I believe was from carrying something very heavy and very large. And after that comment, it kind of brought me full circle to that statement I made several months ago. And, I still kind of believe that after that statement, because I started looking into water because my cousin told me, him in the Army, that's more land, but people from the Navy, he said, I recommend looking at the water. But when that statement came out, we just heard that just the other day, it's kind of making me believe, wait a minute, could there be some other explanation for those scratches on his arm? And it brings me back to, I believe that he was in the woods somewhere. And then that will kind of be that barstool banter. I couldn't have done it, I would never have had time to run there, do this and bury him. Nobody said bury. Nobody said bury. So I'm starting to feel like if Sebastian isn't with us, that he's probably in a, and I know Chris is, I go big or I go home. So I don't think he would have had a shallow anything. I think it would have been deep. I think it would have been hard to find. And we have to remember he disappeared for almost 24 hours. How long does it take for somebody to dig? That would account for that. But again, I don't know. There's psychics out there that believe his bones were broken, but I know psychic visions I don't know them, but the way it was explained to me from Reverend Donna, if I'm explaining it correctly, is that they get visions. They can't describe where the visions are coming from. And when they see a color or something like a green van or a green truck, it doesn't necessarily mean that green truck is the next door neighbors. It just means that there was a green truck somewhere in, the story. There's something, it's not as clear as one might think. So they're believing that there was an arm broke, and I keep wondering was that to, was it while he was still here, or are they seeing that for a different reason? I don't know. I can't imagine being Seth and having to hear some of this stuff, because it's got to be excruciating to hear some of it. It's hard for me, and I never met Sebastian, but my heart breaks because I know his dad, and to think of the pain his dad's going through, while we're deliberating and debating over what could have happened to Sebastian's got to be grueling, but he's doing it. If there's just one scintilla or one little piece of evidence that could be had, from this, I feel like he puts himself through a meat grinder every day to fight for his son, and I feel so bad for him. Hey, Busby Adventures. The Bower Sox didn't leave for Alaska until 3 days after, which is the same day that Chris went back and got his, because I know within 3 days he went back to get his camper, and he disappeared for 24 hours. And it was by the third day he kicked Seth out of the house, and later that day he took off to go get his camper. So I have always found that him disappearing along with his parents have been so suspect. They took him somewhere, not sure if he's alive, but they did something to him. I believe that. You got to remember, Chris also made the statement, no one will ever find him. He did make that statement. And I'm still looking, and Judy and everybody else on here, I'm still looking for that very specific statement. We remember hearing it, and I forget where we heard it from. And it was so profound that but no, well, it was so early on too. People clipped it and ran with that so much, but no, I can't seem to find the clip anywhere. So if you guys run across that clip where he says, "You'll never find him," please send that to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Hey, KJ Mac, it's nice to see you, love. So are the arm scratches about 4 days healing? I do believe that it's possible. I mean, they were scabbing. The bruises was just now surfacing, so it's possible, yeah. But I don't know why I felt that way, but I've said that several times. I know my mods can attest to that, but it's a theory. We have to wait for something that kind of helps support that theory a little more. Nothing has, because we haven't found Sebastian, nothing has really panned out, but I believe it's someplace he felt comfortable in. And I mean, when I say he, I mean the stepdad. That's why I was going to White House. That's why I was trying to meet with some of his past classmates to learn more about him, several months ago and whatnot. But and I do believe we're making headway in that respect. A lot of the stuff that people heard, were rumors and stuff like that, but I'm just trying to find out where his comfort zone is, because I truly believe, we are creatures of habit. And if the theory is, the obvious theory is the people around him. There's lights on the outside. They made a lot of mistakes. They did a lot of things to hide some of the stuff and actions, but they made mistakes, and we need to capitalize, and law enforcement needs to capitalize on those mistakes. And I think all those mistakes are observed in videos. I'm praying to God that they're using whatever resources to enhance those, to see what's behind the lights, because that's where their pay dirt is. That's where their circumstantial case is. And I hope they do that and do that well. All right, guys, I've been up here long enough, bending your ear. I'm glad you guys got to see me. I'm sorry I'm coming early Monday morning instead of Sunday. I tried to hold out, but I wanted to hear what was going on. I wanted to hear from Justin about what was going on. Remember, I check out when it comes to drama. I didn't know anything until it came up. I don't want to get involved in it. I'm just having commentary on it to kind of put my experience and my 2 cents in. But again, I'm not trying to say anything negative about anybody. I think that this was all a disservice to Sebastian. That is what I will say. And it upsets me when people have to spend 2 hours correcting crap instead of advocating for Sebastian. I think it's a waste of everybody's time. And to subject his father to any more bullshit is just, it's not well received by me. It's not well received by me. And that's it. I wish everybody love. I wish everybody, to pull their head out of their butts and, move forward in a more productive manner. But this is completely unproductive. That's how I feel. It's completely unproductive. It's not getting us anywhere. You know what this is? This is the petty BS that I say. Listen, I'm not, when it comes to these cases, do I have emotions? Yes. Do I sit behind these screens and cry sometimes? Yes. But when it comes down to brass tacks, at the end of the day, I don't have time for people's feelings. I don't have time for people's, what about me bullcrap. You have an opportunity to be here to complain about yourself, okay? Our victims do not. I don't have time for it. I really don't. And quite frankly, it does rub me the wrong way when people take a child's case and start making it about them and what they've gone through. Ain't nobody on these streets that has gone through more than I have these 5 years. Okay? I don't want to hear anybody's crap. And if I can come here and make it about a victim and do it with a smile on my face, everybody else needs to suck it up, Buttercup. Okay? I'm serious. I'm tired of the petty nonsense, and I'm tired of this child's case being turned around about other people, how they feel. At least she got feelings. Remember that. All right, guys. God bless. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, well, we'll see you guys soon. But be safe. More importantly, be kind to one another. God bless.